I am rolling with Jill Kirsh.
Hey.
How you doing? The true
Hey.
guru of color is known as Hollywood's guru of hue.
Yeah. So I've heard. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. Thank you. And you?
I'm good. I was just explaining, and let me explain to them. This backdrop is of Beverly Hills from Burberry, from one of their decks. I used to know the guy actually that was involved with Burberry, and he took me for a private tour, and I took this photo, and I thought it'd be perfect for you. Like I said earlier, the colors. And then I wore my most colorful shirt for you, even though it's a fitness shirt.
It's awesome. And I'm like in workout clothes, but I have color. We'll talk color a bit. So I figure if I have a black backdrop, we can play with that. So that was like a deliberate choice also.
You know, when I first heard of you, and then eventually I met you and everything.
Yeah.
When you think of colors, a lot of times, I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is to wear the correct color. And then, well, I worked at Neiman Marcus for a little bit, and I loved it there. And then one of the things they do, it's a color analysis, correct? Is that what they would call it? And
yes.
it was amazing. They did mine. And I never realized, for instance, I never wore the color green, or I never wore certain earth tones I usually, like a lot of people, thought black, red, the solids,
Right.
white, for the most part, just really blue, like a lot of people. But then once you have your colors done, how it's a game changer for you, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it too. I mean, I hear it from clients. It's amazing. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, right? But I have a whole different spin on the entire concept, because basically I've been very fortunate to be on TV, a lot like on camera, and I learned that when a camera comes in close, your hair color frames your face, right? For most people, okay? It frames your eyes and your smile, and you really, really want to work it. Otherwise, there are a lot of distractions going on, and the viewer doesn't know where to focus. It's kind of like the woman's lip color gets there before she does. You know what I mean? Or the shirt is distracting, and you have to get through all of that to get the person's message. And my viewpoint is when you're wearing the right shades of color, the focus is drawn from what you're wearing to the lips, to the cheeks, to the eyes, to the hair. And then the message you communicate in words just rides that wave. Right. Do you see what I mean? Instead of trying to get through something, or the guy's tie, it's like the meeting is all about the tie, or the glass frames are totally wrong. So you're looking at the guy and you're in his glasses, it just like interrupts, So I get it. So everything is in sync with each other.
I mean, you're on a higher level than anyone I've ever met when it comes to this. So how did you even get involved with this? Let's start with that a little bit, because, I think a lot of people too think of colors. They think of their home, for instance, or an architect coming in,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they got to kind of look at themselves as their own, I guess.
That's an interesting, yeah.
Your own, whatever, like constructing yourself. A lot of people are obsessed with fixing their home a certain way, their bedroom, their living room, all of them. But when it comes to their own, I guess you could say, style and color coordination with who they are, they kind of neglect that.
Right. Okay, so I grew up in New York City, which is the heart of the fashion district. And both my parents were in the fashion industry. My mom would buy designer. She was a buyer for specialty stores all over the country, and bought designer sportswear. And then my dad worked with a manufacturer for handbags and belts and leather goods. So it was kind of like pulling from all different areas. And then I was acting for years in New York. And so instead of waiting tables, I worked retail, and I worked in showrooms. I worked wholesale. And it was kind of just like pulling from a lot of different areas, which I wasn't even aware of at the time. And then I learned when we moved to LA about this whole colors thing, and back in the day it was, your skin tone and like a summer or winter or this or that. And I started going on TV with this. I worked for someone and I started going on TV. And that's when I saw, like I had the aha moment when the camera like pans in close. it's all about this. It's all about the hair. It's not about, are you a little bit bluer or yellower or or ring around your eye? For me, it was not about that. And so I just started putting it out there. And then I was really fortunate that In Style magazine came across my name, and we did an interview. We pulled some photos from their archives as far as celebs and the right colors and why and this and that. And then they just went for it and spoiled me for life as far as magazine real estate editorial. Anyway, and yeah, and it was interesting talking to the beauty director, because I said what I said to you, like about the hair. She goes, I thought it was all about your skin tone. And I basically said about your hair framing your face and the picture and whatever. And there was dead silence on the phone. And I was like, oh my God, it's In Style magazine. And then she says, I love this. Mm-hmm. So I've really made something that should be, in my opinion, like fun and exciting and something that works. Very, very simple. It's kind of like I've done all the work. I've curated all the best shades of every color. If you're blonde, if your hair is red, if you change your hair color. And the biggest thing right now in my realm is people that are going gray, men and women. I hear from people from all over the world. You know, nothing works anymore. Like this woman was dyeing her hair reddish brown for 30 years, and now she has white hair. And I get like, help, capital letters, you know, in the email. And yeah, so that's been very interesting. And I learned a lot from my clients, especially about this gray hair thing and the different shades and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to gray hair, it's so interesting how men kind of get the pass. You know, a silver fox, they look good. And then a lot of women, you know, they kind of all of a sudden if they have gray hair, hypothetically, it ages them. I mean, they're both older, but it kind of ages a woman differently than a man, I think, a lot of times.
Right. But when you know how to work it, it can be amazing. I mean, I was just interviewed for this documentary. Actually, it's an award-winning documentary now called Gray is the New Blonde. Mm. And I went to the premiere of it, and these women were just, I mean, rocking it majorly. And the director producer said to me when we met each other, actually even before we met in person on Twitter, she goes, my followers are craving, I love the word, craving what you know, because these are people that have been dyeing their hair for 30, 40 years, and now they're gray, and they want to embrace it and they want to do it, but they don't know what to wear with it. Everything that looked fabulous before is horrible now. So it was a very, very, very eye-opening, experience, and it's been great because I hear from a lot of men having to do with this gray hair thing. We have a YouTube video up with someone who's a guy who has gray hair, and that's how they found it, you know. So
yeah, gray hair is interesting. I think Elon Musk, his mother, who's a very well-known. She set a trend, I think, that was amazing. I mean, she looks incredible, but what she does with her hair looks amazing. That gray, tight. Anyways, so let's kind of, we're jumping on that. Now, what I want to talk to you about is so I grew up, my family owned one of the largest garment tailor shops in Chicago, I guess you could say. So I grew up in that industry. And when I was younger, say in the 70s and 80s, it seemed like, especially for men and women, I guess you could say, is there was a lot more, it seemed like, to work with back then. A lot of different layers people were wearing, I think, regardless even what area of the country you were in. I mean, of course, Florida and California, you weren't going to wear as many layers, but they would wear top hats, you'd wear different style, sport coats, vests, pocket scarves, shoes, boots, even if you look at the 70s, maybe even the 80s, all these different type of pieces that we were able to kind of, you know, even women with scarves, right? And a lot of women, even if you look at Pretty Woman, they were wearing hats. I'm just using for an example. It seems like they keep simplifying things, even the size of things, like men's lapels were big and everything was kind of extravagant and unique. And now it seems like to me, everything is getting smaller, especially with men, the lapel again. And just in general, the tie is smaller. It's just becoming not as, I don't want to say flashy, but not as very unique and not as very extravagant, I guess you could say. So when you're doing your colors now, I'm sure it's a little more complicated to say to younger people, hey, you can add this scarf, or you could do this, you could do that, you do this. They're like, hey, wait a minute, I just want to wear this, right?
This is so interesting. That's such a great question. Yeah, I mean, when I was in LA, I worked with a lot of young people, a lot. Because of having a background in acting, I brought this concept big time into the industry, because everyone, for their headshots, for the auditions and all that, and I was talking to someone and she goes, everyone is on camera now. It's not just the performers. Look at this. We're all, I mean, everyone is on camera. And it's interesting you even mentioned scarves, because I have scarves. Like we do custom. I know, I love it. So, yeah, once someone knows their colors, they want stuff. They want the t-shirts, they want the dresses, they want the nail color, everything in their colors, right? So my business started entirely in person, one-on-one, to the home, to the studio, to the office, and I do a whole color session with tons of fabrics and lights and mirror and the whole 9 yards. And then I started wanting to I want to pull color up to the person's face, especially if they have nothing that works. Do you know what I mean? Like they see they have this whole closet and they see it. It's not like just my opinion. So I have a friend who is an artist. She does huge canvases and stuff. And I said, you want to do some stuff with me? I said, I'm going to give you every single shade of every color that I have and just go for it. So she does these hand-painted, one-of-a-kind silk scarves, right? But the scarves are based on your color palette. So just to show you and your audience, like, look at this is fabulous for some people. Like if they're like an ash blonde or white blonde or a gray, it's horrible for me. Now look at the difference. Right. Just by throwing color up to the face. So anyway, so I have all these scarves, right? So, but when I was at someone's house or in general, it's not like you want to buy a scarf. You know what I mean? Like I'm not into just selling a scarf. It's like the whole thing furthers your whole palette and the way you come across and you throw color up to your face. So I kept thinking of the word like scarfy, you know, like when especially the young people, like they're like, I don't know about a scarf or whatever. And then I would take the scarf and throw it in their hair, right? Sure. Bam. That was it. That was it for their headshot and then they would take the colors, like say, well, this has a few colors. Some of them have more, but they would take a scarf. One client put the scarf in her hair and did the website, the background, the font based around their colors in the scarf. You see what I mean? So you have everything in the presentation pushing your image forward. And having to do with that, if I could just veer off for a second, I was referred to someone who's on the national news to do her colors. So I figured, okay, so before I do this, I'm just gonna check her out. Like, what does she look like? Whatever. Anyway, so I go to her website. Okay, I got a feel, the whole thing, you know. And I knew the colors on the website were not right at all. But I saw what she looked like. True story. I go to the Beverly Hills Hotel while she was visiting LA. I open the door. Well, she opens the door, and my jaw dropped. Adorable, fabulous. Never got that from the website. Never. And it was entirely because she was wearing the wrong colors. Entirely. So it totally turned her around. She'd be on the campaign trail, you know, wearing my scarves, getting the makeup, you know. I mean, the difference was so huge. She wrote a book, the back of the book, the pictures, everything in her colors. And it just allowed her to just be more present, you know, aside from being more attractive, right? It was like an energy. And the difference between looking at a website, because the website or a headshot, you want it to be the best of, you know what I mean? Like on a good day kind of thing. Totally was working against her. 100%, only because of the color. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think when it comes to people, there's a couple things that have to come into play. I think when you want to start experimenting with different colors, it's one is being creative, obviously, and having the confidence to try different things. And I don't
Exactly.
think a lot of young people now were raised in that environment. It was kind of to simplify everything, like throw a hoodie on, right? Like my daughters, for instance. And them being a little more extravagant is almost kind of scary to them. And I think one of the reasons is because of social media and stuff, because I think if they post something, they get a lot of backlash. Where, say, me and you grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we
Yeah.
could try something any other day. And it wasn't like it was going to get a post and we'd get 50 comments on it, like people either bashing us or liking it,
Weird,
right?
right? Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think there is that fear. Now, if you take certain artists, me and you've been in, obviously in and out of ballet our whole life, but from music to film, TV, fashion,
Yeah.
the ones that are really, who fashion forward are extravagant. Sometimes they even may go too far, but I love that about them because they're always kind of pushing the boundary and you never know what's going to work. Sometimes the colors don't work. Sometimes they work incredibly. You don't know too, right? From a matching perspective sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to play around. You have to play around. The thing about what I do, though, which I really love beyond just making someone look better, is what it does to their confidence. Do you know what I mean? If
Absolutely.
someone's going for a job interview, for whatever, an audition, a thing, it's wild. And I've seen this time and time and time again. And I know the word empowerment is like very much overused
No,
these days.
that's your armor.
It's so about that. It is so about that. And I mean, I've done this, with a lot of like community outreach that I've worked with, former gang members, these women, at-risk teens. And there's something that happens when you put the thing, like a right shade of purple, and then take it down and they see the wrong shade of purple, and they themselves and all the girlfriends or the guys are like, oh my God, and start laughing. And so now I give it to the person like 100%. This is not like a follow-up and you have to read or exercise. It's like own it. And now from that moment on, they own it. And so they know that if they go out of their color box a bit, because they've seen it, that it's all good. And I love that.
Yeah, and I think people also got to know there's a risk into trying different colors or just trying different things in fashion in general,
In
right?
general.
Yeah,
In
and
life in general,
in
right?
life, yeah. And then you got to realize you're always evolving too, and people have to learn that as well because your hair, for instance, especially women and men,
Yes.
it's changing. The tone of your skin is changing again. Are you on a vacation in Hawaii or in Florida? Are you
Absolutely.
living in LA? Are you in New York? Winter, you're going to look a lot different, I can assure you, a lot of times than summer, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I get I grew up too around a lot of people involved with fashion. So they were even caught up with the seasons. Like a lot of people, you can only dress this way during this season. You can only wear this color during this season. And I think for the most part, that's all kind of getting pushed aside to a certain degree, in my
Totally.
opinion.
It's like, can you wear white after Labor Day?
Now,
The whole
yeah,
thing. I did a piece on that. You can definitely wear white after Labor Day, but which white are you going to wear? You
right.
see, like someone is much better in like a cream colored white versus a stark white, and that's all based on your hair color.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and something else I realized too. So my ex-mother-in-law, who was very savvy and dressed incredibly, I learned something from her. And even if she wore something basic, she never, I can't say never, very seldom did she wear something that was always just black, red, white, blue, hypothetically, right? She always had unique colors. And if it wasn't the dress, the skirt, the sport coat, or just whatever she was wearing at that point in time, everybody just thought how incredible she looked all the time. And the reality was she just wasn't ever wearing colors that anyone else would wear. Even I'd go shopping with her all the time, and I'm looking at a lot of solids like a lot of other people. And she's looking at all these different oranges, all these different greens and
Love
purples and
it.
violet.
I
And
love it.
and so when she walked into a room, it blew the room out because it was just like, but again, the confidence has to be there to, people have to realize when you dress a certain way or wear certain colors, you're going to get attention. I don't care how it is, right? I mean, that's just the reality. Some people
Yes.
want the attention, some don't. But in
Yeah.
her case, I just learned a lot. And then what I started to incorporate was small little pieces. My dad was all into, I don't know if you ever see my father. He's very flamboyant. He loves matching head to toe, that kind of European mixed in with American style, I think. Because a lot of Europeans, they don't give a shit a little bit. They'll go, that's where I'm kind of at. Little pieces that don't look like they fit, but you try to make them work. My father's head to toe match, down to the socks to the shoes. Everything's got to match. Down to his car, like he has to match his car, his shades. Where I was kind of wanted to be way off a little bit and say, no, I'm throwing something really funky in here, right?
Yeah.
So if I wear a sport coat, I wear a whacked out vest. If I wear a pocket scarf, it's going to be different. If I'm wearing shades, I don't always want them to match, hypothetically.
Right.
What was my damn thing here? Oh, with me, with kind of not giving a shit. He was so programmed to program me that everything had to be perfect. And I kind of wanted to go, no, I kind of want to look fashion dysfunctionality a little bit, because I want something. With men, we don't have a lot of opportunities. It's not like we're wearing nail polish. We're not wearing lashes. We're not getting our eyebrows done, or we're not getting our hair done, most likely. So with men, if you want to make a presence within fashion, you only have certain pieces, right? You got a pocket scarf, you got a tie, right? It could be your gym shoes, it could be your whatever. But with women, I think you guys have a lot of opportunities to do a lot more than men, but a lot of women don't take advantage of it, like my, ex-mother-in-law.
Yeah, it's interesting. My feeling and what I've learned is, once you know, it's kind of like it's, knowledge is power, right? Once you know that all these colors are good, this is what I do. This is the ultimate cheat sheet. Okay, this is a swatch book. I'm going here now because I just want you to see this.
Love it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So if I do something with a client, right, and then they can get one of these these are my colors, right, but these are not my colors, in their colors, and they take it shopping and they match up everything, and I shop for all the shades that go in here, so not only are they all your colors, but everyone works together. They're all coordinated. It's very fun. It's very cool. But the point is that now it's like, over to you, like you're not going to screw it up. Mm-hmm. End of story. So there's a confidence that goes with that, and people, it's kind of like they've been given, I don't know, like free reign within the group or something, so they can play totally. I mean, I get calls and stuff and emails like, oh my god, I got the best email from someone who did a whole transformation with this swatch book and went out. She's single, and she went out to a bar or something, and these women, not even men, women came up to her and they were like, oh my God, like, and we're in the business, one was, I don't know, plastic surgeon's office, well, in the business of beauty and this and that. And they said to her, like, you look amazing. And it was totally based on the colors, entirely. I mean, totally out of her comfort zone with color, but she had this thing that said, you can go for it. And I mean, I did a session with her in person. So she's had the aha moment, the bad, the good, and all that. So she was comfortable to make way different and bolder choices. Mm-hmm. And then you get the feedback, and then that's just like, nice. You know what I mean? It was very lovely. It was very lovely. So,
do you think a lot of women have an issue trying different colors with different style clothing because of their complex regarding their weight? Because a lot of times, as you know, they'll be like, oh, black makes me look thin, white makes me look heavy, dark blue makes me look thinner, hypothetically, yellow's going to expose me, or orange, or whatever color. I mean, I'm not, but I think, I think one of the problems women have, back to the confidence, is they kind of get stuck in a routine thinking this type of color looks good on me and this one doesn't because of my weight, when the reality is that's not necessarily always the truth.
That's an interesting question. Both. I feel both. I feel certain women that I've worked with that are heavy have no wrinkles on their face at all. And when you're wearing the right shades of color, it actually pulls the focus up to your face, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not talking about someone who's large and wearing bright yellow head to toe. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about incorporating some of the bright colors that are the right shades. It will bring the attention more up to your face. And that can be a plus point for people that are heavier. Do you know what I mean? It's not emphasizing, because if someone, I never take black away from anyone, right? For fear of like, I don't know what, you know, like I show them how to make it work better for them. Of course. But if someone is not great in black and they're heavy set, what happens is the viewer is in the body more, because it pulls away from the face and the body becomes very solid looking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's very, I've seen this on camera. I spoke at an acting workshop years ago, and then I watched the students do scenes with each other, and there was a gal who was I would never put her in black as a dark color, because every palette can wear dark colors, right? But I wouldn't have put her in black, and I'm watching her on camera, and I see it's like a little talking head, and then a big black body. And it made the body look massive, you know, massier than it is. But I do, if the color is the right shade of color and it's a bright color, it's fine. I'm also amazed how some people don't care who are heavier and they just go for it. And yes. I actually think I love it. Yeah. I love it. It's not even like a consideration, or if it is a consideration, it's totally masked, because it hasn't been shared with me, you know, necessarily, but I love it. I think it's fabulous, because when you do wear the right color, and I've shown this on camera a lot, you do get a much more chiseled jawline. Do you know what I mean? Of course. And it just is lifting the attention to the face. Whereas like, if I put on, let me show you. Okay, so look at this on me, just to show you this. Okay, here's this shade of purple, mm-hmm. like an orchid color. And here's this. Now look at the difference where your focus goes and the shape of my face and the whole thing between that. I don't even know where else to look anymore. Okay, between that versus very flat. And it makes my face look fuller because it's pulling everything down. You put this on the right person, it's amazing. But see here, much better. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I love that question. That's a very, very interesting question. It was interesting. Once I had a guy years ago who wrote for a magazine, and I did his colors like as a pitch thing, and he loved it. And he sends me something, how this changed his life, right? Doing this session with me. Mm-hmm. Eventually, he became a writer for a fitness magazine. This was in LA. And he ended up getting in majorly good shape. All because, I don't know, his viewpoint is it all started once he had his colors done. Once he saw himself and his body. Mm-hmm. We are not our bodies, but we have bodies. And once he saw himself in that body, he wanted to transform the body also to reflect how he was feeling. Anyway, sure. It's very interesting. That's a great question.
I went to modeling school, Barbizon, when I was younger, in my teens in Chicago, which I actually relatively loved. I loved going there. I learned so many things. It was amazing back then, actually. People kind of talk or make fun of modeling schools and things, but I had an amazing time. I got to meet a lot of great people in the fashion industry. Now, this is the mid-'80s, mind you. So, yes. But what I learned there, and then kind of transitioning into really full-blown working out, I got away from the fashion thing. I didn't want to be that thin. I was only 5'10", and I just wanted to get bigger and stronger. So, right. But what I realized with people is they truly don't know what they look like.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so then I kind of fell into bodybuilding. I wasn't a bodybuilder, but I followed bodybuilders, and you critique every aspect of your body. Even me lifting weights all the time, I'm paying attention. And then they had pose down rooms and mirror rooms, they call them, in like Gold's and World's gyms. In the old days, you could go in and they had mirrors on every angle. So you could
Yeah.
see every aspect of your body, which was
Yeah.
kind of amazing. So let me kind of fast forward here. When I wrote my book, The Model Bible, for models, I wrote in there, mirrors lie to you. Photos lie to you. Everything lies to you. You're lying to yourself when you're looking at yourself. I don't care how you know. But the reality is, when it comes to your body and certain colors, again, I told them, take photos of yourself or have someone from all different directions. Not only just standing, sitting, right? For instance, sit down, take some photos, see what you look like again from behind the side. A lot of people may think they look a certain way, and the reality is they don't look that way. Especially, again, wearing different colors. So if you're going to do a photo shoot, hypothetically, don't think because you think this outfit looks good on you, right? You might want to take photos before you even do the photo shoot to make sure you see what
Absolutely.
you look like. And it could be a bathing suit, as we all know. If you look at Sports Illustrated, I don't care if it's Victoria's Secret. I don't care if it's Red Book, right? Is that a woman's book, or Self, or whatever?
Yes.
A bathing suit, like an average woman with a beautiful bathing suit that pops with the right color, can make it, just changes the whole image. And then
Absolutely.
right? It's just, I just always found that very interesting, because I don't think enough people put enough time into realizing how important it is to realize the shape you're in at that point in time, right?
Yeah.
And what colors look like you as well.
It's interesting to me because of working with so many performers, the color choices that I find people make, like, obviously I've been doing this for a really long time, and with you, I know you have a really good eye anyway, you know, but it amazes me that it's like I've taken people on camera to demo on and stuff, and I say, look at this, now look at that, and she says to me, but that's my whole wardrobe, the bad one. That's everything I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, well, just look at the difference, you know, and then they have that aha moment. But it is amazing. It's amazing how we visually, I mean, there's so many other ways one minimizes themselves, but I'm just talking about visually minimizing themselves. I'm going to be doing, what is it, an Instagram Live, right, with an actor who's in Europe. And I said, you know, let's show bad and good and stuff. And she sends me these pictures of clothes that she has, just tops, and they weren't good. And she said something like, it's amazing how we choose the colors that aren't good. Like, it's just interesting. So now she has this knowledge from what I've been doing with her, and it's just kind of changed everything. But I mean, I remember a manager had a client who was like a leading man type of thing, except he wasn't getting out. He was in New York and theater, and they just sent his pictures to me. And I knew exactly, good looking guy, a lot of great credits. The picture was doing everything to minimize him. And it's not just, and we talked about backgrounds earlier, it's not just what he's wearing, it's what he's sitting in front of, what he's standing in front of, you know. Back in the day when we shot black and white, you talk about textures and necklines and all that. Now, everything grabs focus. And this is like way beyond actors. This is like, someone told me the other day, dating sites, you know, doing these kind of Zoom things, webinars, Facebook, Instagram. So it's just another thing for the person to consider as far as coming across the best they can. And that's why they take these little swatch books to photo shoots and get the backdrop. Like, someone could be, if they're shooting outside or doing an interview or something, is fabulous in front of, say, like a red brick building. For certain people with their coloring, wonderful. Someone else is horrible against that and is much better against like a schoolyard fence, like the silver thing. Because the background will either push your image out there or totally be a distraction from it. And that's when you talk about, you know, back in the day with people doing their homes, their interiors. I mean, I have people that give their interior designer their swatch book. or at least to do their office. I have a doctor that did that.
Mhm.
My clients take their swatch books and they go car shopping. And someone said, no, it's not true. I said, it is absolutely true. Absolutely true. So, it makes you feel good, and they know it's good, and it's a really fun thing. It makes fashion a lot more interesting in a way, a lot more doable, and fun. And it also makes people really happy. I see it. I see what happens, when they know. And we talked about that with the confidence, and it's like they own something. You know what I mean? It's like this is stable information for them. And that's a really good feeling about in life in general, I think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too get caught in a certain brand where they don't
Yeah.
realize, like I'll just use for men, for instance, like, do you like
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren type of shirts? We all
Yes.
know they have some certain colors, but then I tell people, if you really want to look for some different colors, very similar style shirt, jump to Lacoste. Now, all of a sudden, you're thrown into a whole different type of color scheme with their shirts. They go vintage. You could find something from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s now. So I think what happens with a lot of men and women, we get caught liking certain brands. And before you know, we're always kind of wearing the same colors and the
Yeah.
same type of outfits with those brands, where I tell guys all the time, try something new. You don't realize just by wearing something new how different you're going to feel. It may
Yeah.
be uplifting. It also, you may not like it either, but you got to try. You got to try it, because I think now with men more than ever, it's like vintage tees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's wearing a vintage tee. And then if I don't, it just depends on what group of guys I'm talking about. If you got a rock and roll dude, he's going to be basically wearing this type of shirt, for instance. He won't be caught dead in this type of shirt or this type of color. And on the flip side, you got preppy guys, hypothetically. They'll only wear these type of colors and won't be seen in these type of colors. But, I think to be more open-minded, the more open-minded you are, even regarding all different aspects of fashions and all
Absolutely.
different
Absolutely.
stores. Yeah, I mean, most guys will only go to a mall and really only walk into, say, 2-3 stores for 10 years. Dude,
Interesting.
if you think about it, like, it's not only the brand that you like, but all these other brands carry all different style colors that are
Yeah.
going to change the way, you may feel and look, kind of like what you're just describing.
Yeah. I just had to write something. Someone sent me something to write. She was putting out something about trending colors, and she was going to send me the colors and give my take on it. And I said, well, I have to say who's going to wear what colors better. So say like purple's a trending color. Everyone, in my viewpoint, everyone can wear purple, but
Mm-hmm.
different shades of that color. And I find a lot of people just like, oh, I see purple, I'm going to wear it. They don't even think about like if it's good for them or not, or what shade is good for them. So what I do is not limiting. Do you know what I mean? It's like someone said, oh yeah, I had my colors 10 years ago, and they said I could wear, purple and green, and that's all, or whatever,
Sure.
or I definitely can't wear yellow, and I say,
Right.
you can wear yellow. In fact, we did something for the LA Times about that, like a few years ago, yellow for spring and who can wear it. And yellow is the color that I hear that the most about from clients. Oh, I know I can't wear yellow. I know I can.
Mm.
And then they see a yellow that makes them look amazing. In fact, I still remember, two things, Renee Zellweger and Michelle Williams from award shows back in the day. One was wearing like a marigold color, and one was wearing like a lemony color. Unbelievable, because it was the exact right shade for them.
Mm.
So certain things, and it's interesting with celebs because it's a hit or miss thing sometimes. And I am so not styling anyone, as far as putting it all together. And I think the stylists are unbelievable. But sometimes on the red carpet, the women are gorgeous and fabulous and wonderful, except from my viewpoint, they're not rocking the right shades up to their face. So what we've done, which has been fun, is Photoshop just the dress. And people see the difference, and it's like, yeah, but you changed her color, skin tone. I didn't touch the skin tone. Just because we changed the color of the dress, they look more refreshed, they look more put together, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Someone used the M word, the magic word the other day, but it's like can be very transformative.
Yeah, and it's experimenting. I mean, a
Yes.
lot of things you don't always realize how good or bad it's going to work out for you, even though it may look great now.
Yeah.
It looks good, right? You don't, sometimes you're not going to always succeed. You're not going to always look great in every photo. I've been to a ton of red carpet events. You know, I've been to most everything basically. I haven't been to the Oscars, but I've been to a lot. I've been to
Wow.
sometimes the Emmys. I've been to a lot of red carpet events, and you know, I sometimes feel bad for those girls because I do think sometimes they experiment and they try things and they'll go out, and then they get there and it doesn't maybe look as good as they thought it was
Yeah.
gonna look, I guess you could say, or they don't look as good as they thought they were. Whatever the case may be, at least they tried, right? I think
Yeah.
sometimes.
I'll tell you something interesting that I've learned watching a lot of this, the red carpet stuff. I find a lot of women, especially, dress to match their eye color. So you see someone who's gorgeous and have blue eyes, and they're wearing a blue, like a light blue dress. What happens is that if you're standing in the same room or right up close, it's gorgeous, it's fabulous. But most of the time, the shots are full body shots,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't even see their eyes, but the color really. But what you do is you see their hair color. And the hair color is lying on their skin or lying on the dress.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of incorporating the hair color into the dress choice is way stronger than just going by the eye color. Like I have green eyes. I'll give you an example. So I did a TV show and I got this cool jacket from it and they let me keep it, right? And it was like in this greeny kind of color. It wasn't even this green, but I know that, I mean, it elicited like this really fun comment on the show and all that stuff. I know it's going to bring out my eyes, right? But it not only brings out my eyes, it works with the hair, it works with the whole presentation versus like something like that.
Right.
You know, so it's like, it's great to match the eye color, you know, but when you're looking at the whole thing, and especially on the red carpet, and plus you know better than I do, I mean, the lights on the carpet are like so
Right.
unforgiving. They're like, you know,
For sure.
insane. And so you have to consider all of that stuff.
Yeah, when I was younger, our family's from Cicero, which is right outside the Chicago suburb.
Uh-huh.
It's probably the first suburb outside of Chicago, so it definitely still has a city environment. And then my mother moved out to LaGrange, which is about 15 miles west of there, which was really more of a preppy environment. You know, a lot of preppy kids, upper middle class. That's just where she wanted me to kind of grow up. Me and her went there, and what was interesting is, my mother was kind of dressed me as a preppy kid. And then when I'd be going to Chicago or Cicero, my grandfather and my father, then they would be dressing me in like Italian clothes, right? And then I would go visit my cousins in California and they were more like skaters, right? So now I'd bring clothes back from there. And then my father ended up moving to Florida. So I'd go to Florida and you're kind of dressing like a Miami Vice style. And then depending too on where I was, I started to realize I'm not a chameleon, but I was dressing similar to the environment I was in. So what was interesting is no matter what environment I was in, though, they thought I was from another environment. So like if I'm in Florida, kind of dressing like a Floridian, they're like, you're a Chicago guy. And then in Chicago, they're like, oh, you're a Florida guy. You're a preppy, or you're European, or you're a greaseball, or whatever the hell. But what I found interesting growing up, and I still do that, if you see me, I dress differently just depending on how I feel. So one day I will be in preppy clothes. The next day you may see me in a sport coat looking completely the opposite. The next day may be fitness, and then the next day may be whatever I choose. But I realize with color and clothes, when I wake up a lot of times, unless I pick it the day before, it almost makes me feel a certain way. I know it's my armor.
Absolutely.
In my environment, I'm comfortable in that. But a lot of times I'll go opposite of what a lot of people will dress like. So if I'm going to go play tennis, hypothetically, I may not look like a tennis player. I may dress like somebody from wherever I feel like dressing that day. I don't always want to conform, but I do like trying all these different styles and looks. And I think
I love that. I love that.
I think a lot of people just in general should just try something different, because we all fall into saying, okay, I'm a rock and roll guy. I'm a skater. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a preppy guy, like I was saying earlier. Oh no, I'm a filmmaker. I got to look this way. No, I'm a skater. Whatever the case may be. Try and experiment. Back to that.
I
Right?
love that.
I don't know. That was just something I grew up. I naturally fell into just dressing differently, because not to fall in or follow, but when I went to Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy for 2 weeks, I can't walk around like I would dress in Chicago, right? So all of a sudden
Right.
you have to wear
Right.
clothes that work
Right.
playing tennis,
Right.
right? So and then when I'm playing other sports, I played all different types of sports. I had to wear the gear for those sports. Even if I went surfing in Florida, I'm going to look and dress differently. And I'm going to be introduced to different colors, right? Too. That's what's
definitely in different. Oh my God, coming from New York City, growing up in the city, moving to LA, and now being in Florida,
mm-hmm.
like it's very different. It's very different. Even though where I am, there are a lot of people from all over the world, or the country. But it is definitely very different. Even when I say the word, and we're not in Miami, but when I say Miami, I get such a picture of color. Do you know what I mean? Like a
that blue, that green, it just pops.
Corals and turquoises and yeah, like that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, look at Miami Vice. I mean, that was so fashion and color driven, that whole thing. So, yeah.
It's what else was I going to mention to you regarding colors? I had something I was going to so if, for instance, a lot of times, like if you know anything about my website or my brand, a lot of people, I call it the tuxedo look. Basically, when you go online, it's going to be black, white, silver, or gray. Those are the colors I stick with. They're traditional. And for me, I like that. It's almost like a Rat Pack, whatever you want to call it, Vegas, cities, whatever that image is. I love tuxedos. And I love colors, but I don't like crazy patterns. So I like different colors as long as they're solids, if that makes sense.
Yes.
This is kind of like, but a lot of times if I wear a far out color, say a yellow or whatever I decide, a purple or whatever, and I think this is where a lot of men get scared. And I don't know about women. I can't speak for women, but they get scared because this type of crazy patterns or these things they think will look weird, or they're trying to be a poser, I guess, or like, hey, look at me, I'm looking for attention. But I have 2 daughters, and I kind of fall into both of their categories. One loves really eccentric, crazy things, and I like that. And then the other one is all solids and sportswear. Mm-hmm. So one loves high fashion and one loves looking like a jock. And I always said, wow, both of my daughters, when I go out with them, I'm either dressed like one or the other.
Right.
But I think back to like in your case, do you think a lot of women get scared because it's the patterns? It's not just the style?
Well, the style has a lot to do with it. I mean, I start with the color, and then style-wise, as far as body types and all that, they're kind of like playing on their own, or there's so many. How many books are there about if you're this kind of shape or this kind of, whatever. What I tell my clients is, if a print or a pattern is primarily in your color palette, go for it. Now, we're talking different on camera. I think solids are better for sure. I mean, I've seen, there's a word, and I totally went blank on it, when the pattern starts moving, is a word on television for that. But anyway, I mean, you've seen newscasters, and I've worked with some newscasters where they're shot like this, which is a whole other thing, by the way, which is going on now with the Zoom meetings and stuff. People are saying, well, God, I need to know my right color because I'm on Zoom and I'm shot like, from waist up or like that. But newscasters are like that for years. And sometimes you like that the camera comes in on a guy and you're looking at his tie. The tie is like dancing. Do you know what I mean? And that's a word for that on camera. But also for color, like if someone, like if someone has dark brown hair or salt and pepper hair, a guy, and he's wearing a tie that has like rusts and golds and tans and olive, it's horrible on him. It's horrible. So the viewer is like, not only in the print of the tie, but the colors are just so flat on him. And I look at someone and see what it could be. Do you know what I mean? Like I see just by like tweaking something, like a little bit, the difference in the way someone comes across is amazing, is totally amazing. And it's interesting with this medium, and that we're all in this together in 50 zillion ways. Do you know what I mean? But now everyone is in front of a camera, you know, and it's just been very eye-opening to me. I mean, I was on set with someone where he was in a shirt and a blazer and wearing like jeans on the bottom, a newscaster in LA years ago, you know, because he was only shot, you know, waist up. And now, so it's like it's very important, like what you have up to your face to really push your message forward. And there's the same thing with women with the color that they wear, with the makeup colors. And when I say makeup, I'm talking the eyes, cheeks, and lips. I'm not talking foundation for all the viewers, because foundation, from my viewpoint, is 110% based on your skin tone. Absolutely. But for the eyes, cheeks, and lips, it's entirely based on your hair color. But all of that is important. So then the message can go right out there, you know?
Yeah, it's a huge puzzle. Our bodies, our faces,
Yes.
it's right.
Yeah.
I mean, right. You're just kind of, sometimes you're missing a couple pieces.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks really well done, put together, and other times it doesn't.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of women and men a lot of times watch social media, or they watch their favorite celebrities or whatever the case may be, television shows, and they don't realize too that the shape those people are in compared to the shape they're in, right? It's not the same type of, you know, person. Obviously, you may not be the same height, you may not be the same weight, you may not have anything in really common. And if you wear something color-wise that is very similar, it's not usually going to look as good as they look, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You got to really break out and go figure out what works best for you. I talk about that all the time regarding anything in fashion. It's great to look at other people and say, I'd love to have that hairstyle. I'd love to look that way, or I'd like to wear those type of outfits, but most people can't.
Yeah.
What you say?
It's interesting. It's also interesting, and this has come out a lot in social media. I mean, I worked a little bit on a soap opera years ago, and I remember going in like at, I don't know, 6 a.m. or something, and for blocking and this and that. And I would see some of these women that I had seen on the soaps that are beautiful. I literally, true story, did not know that was that person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So there's a lot that goes into these images, and it's just very interesting. And now with social media and Instagram, I mean, this has been talked about like ad nauseum, but it's all not what it seems, you know what I mean? Like all the time. It's just so not. It's so not. And so what I do is I see that it makes someone look so much better. Like I look at some of the older pictures before, like I met with the person or did it online. You know, I've been doing a lot more online sessions with people, and the difference is huge just by wearing the right colors for them, not like some idea of what they think they should wear or try out or whatever, you know. And their presence is so much stronger, and they feel empowered by it. I don't know. They just feel better. And so they come across better and more confident and all that. It's like the old adage, right? The inner affects the outer affects the inner. It's like when you know you look good, there's an energy that goes with that. And then when you feel good inside, there's a look that goes with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, let's have it all. I mean, and it's really simple. That's the thing. I did one of these, what do you call them? Gifting suites a long time ago. This guy I knew was taking a whole space or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, just come. You'll do it with me. You don't have to pay anything. You'll come." And he was a dermatologist, and he was showing a non-invasive procedure. So mine is like totally non-invasive, right? but it's immediate. It's very immediate. And it was crazy. I mean, there were some celebs there and all that. It was wild, the reaction we got. It was fantastic. It was like, well, look at this, and look at this. And then they would look at me like, what? You know what I mean? Like just by changing colors. It was very interesting. I feel like, what was the line? This is the best, how to be extremely made over without opting for an extreme makeover.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Because, I mean, I'm not against anything that someone wants to do. You know, it's their body. And, you know, I've seen amazing results. I've seen some not so amazing results. But I say to people, before you start nipping and tucking and cutting up your body, why don't you get a different color t-shirt and a new lip color? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, someone who just bought some stuff from me, she said to me, well, just send me whatever you think, you know, this is the hair color and I love your stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, I'm going to send you this great red. Oh, I forget it. I won't wear red lipstick at all. She goes, I've tried and tried and tried. And I said, yeah, but you try this one because I know that it's the right one. There's some reds that are too blue. There's some reds that are too yellow, too orange. Anyway, bottom line, like one of her favorites now. Only because it's the right shade of that color.
I mean,
You know,
there's
so I think
shades.
people do a lot more than they think necessarily. You know,
There's so many shades. It's so interesting how our life, though, all revolves around color. And I don't think a lot of people realize it, from the car they pick to the outside of their, if they have their own home, right? Yeah. From the cover on their sheets to the pillows that they buy, not only their clothes, but the way they dress their children, or, right? I mean, right? They don't really even realize, I think a lot of times, even when they're shopping, that a lot of times they're buying certain things just because of a color. For instance, like Tiffany, like the blue bag, or the you know, right? I'm just saying, it's amazing how just a color, and it could go for Versace or any of them. You know, immediately when I, you know, name certain brands, that color jumps right into your head, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And I've been like, if I'm, when we get back to flying again, I mean, I would be at the airport, and if I see someone who I think is rocking it, you know, I'll tell them, you know. So I said it to this woman. She's getting on the plane, and she was sitting in the middle. Her husband, I remember this very well. Her husband was at the window, and I'm on the aisle, and she sits down, and she's wearing like a tracksuit. And it was amazing on her. It was so good. I'm like, oh, should I say? I don't know. Anyway, so of course I said something. So she was like, but it's just a tracksuit. I said, oh my God, but it's such a good color on you, you know? And I know it made her day. You know what I mean? The energy, it's like, you know, whereas on the other hand, I've seen people, and can't even believe I still remember it, a woman wearing a big, in the airport. The airport's amazing. The airport is amazing.
I live in them, I know.
She's wearing, right, you do. She was wearing this long, beautiful, like a pashmina, couple times around her neck, in mustard, right? Yeah. And she had gray hair. Such a fashion don't, in my opinion. But there was a whole story for me there, because I thought, I bet that when she was dyeing her hair, like a reddish brown or something, that scarf was insane on her, right? It was like beautiful, right? Because that color is so wonderful, like with like that red and the golden brown and all that. But now her hair was gray, and you're talking about like color palettes that are on the other side of town from each other. Do you know what I mean? You're like very, very far apart.
Sure.
I didn't say anything. I only say stuff about the good stuff.
Oh my! I love the color mustard. I used to wear. There's a picture even on Facebook. I used to wear it in the '80s. I was a lot bigger, but I'd wear a V-neck with like a white T-shirt or something. But when I would wear a mustard sport coat, people go crazy for it. And then, you know, we also have the one where I still have a mustard style double-breasted and single-breasted, but this had a unique style. But it's,
Yeah.
I love the color mustard, and I don't think a lot of people realize how many things that goes with a mustard
Yeah.
color. I mean,
But speaking of that, here, look at this. So mustard for me is in this palette of color.
yeah,
Okay,
I
this
see
is
it.
a lot of the earth tones, right? See, the white in here is not a dead white. It's more of a creamier white.
Mm-hmm.
So all these colors can mix and match, right, with each other. And mustard is right here. But
Yep.
see, this on me is not so good. But if I were going to do a yellow, I would do more of a clear, true yellow,
Yeah.
like that.
Right. I'm more of a mustard, I think. That looks pretty good on me. That would kill me.
This would kill you?
Yeah, that would look good on you. Mustard works well with me. That's why I used to wear it. I don't know why.
Yeah, interesting.
And earth tones.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, people either like or hate, I find, earth tones in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, but see, like gray, like this palette, if you were gonna, I don't even put a gray in here, and I put most every color in all the palettes, but a gray would be a very olivey gray to work in here, okay? Whereas like this palette, which is my palette, has like the charcoal grays, you know, like those kind of colors. And this palette, there are 4, is more of like the dove gray, like the taupey browns. Like, see, this palette is amazing for gray hair. This is stunning on gray hair. This palette is really good on salt and pepper hair. Totally different than gray haired colors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then when you talk about guys, like, or they want like a camel jacket, like a camel blazer.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, yeah. Which is the 4th one that I have. But see, camel on me is horrible.
Right.
Horrible. It just doesn't work. It's very interesting. It's very cool.
Explain to me how people would hire you. So how does this work with you? So what do? You fly to them? They come to you? Because I know you're in Florida and you go into Hollywood a lot. You kind of, right? Because that's where me and you even met.
I mean, we're based down in Tampa Bay right now. But I have clients in New York. I have a lot of clients in LA. So yeah, I go to LA. A client flew me to a beautiful place. I'm sure you've been, because you're all over the place all the time. In Oregon, called Bend, Oregon. Yeah. Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Anyway, I've been in Texas. I mean, I've been all over. And now what's happening with social media, which is really interesting, is I just talked to someone from India last night.
Right.
You know, it's like Australia. I have clients in Australia. So yes, people can hire me to come to them. We do one-on-one sessions, color parties. I've done a lot of fundraisers based on this whole concept also, a lot of in LA. Or we do Skype or, you know, like online. And that's interesting because before this situation that we're all dealing with now even came up, we moved to Florida and we put in business phone lines. And that day the phone rang and I'm thinking, for sure it's a wrong number and someone's selling me something or whatever. Turns out it was an actor from LA whose acting coach said he has to hook up with me. I have to do his colors, blah, blah, blah. So I'm explaining, literally, I just moved. I can't come, you know, oh, but what are we going to do? I really want to do this. I have to shoot, blah, blah, blah. So I said, let me try something. So what we did was I asked him to send me some photos online and be on the phone with me. And we talked through them and I asked him a bunch of questions and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we did a whole online session and then I sent him a swatch book. And then this started organically happening from New York, from LA. And then being in this, this film, this Gray is the New Blonde film, all these women have seen the film. So they're contacting me and I've been doing a lot of online sessions. I didn't know in the beginning. I didn't know if it would work because, you know, when you're so used to being in person, I mean, that was my entire business. My entire business was in person. So now people are saying, yeah, but that's like the VIP treatment, you know, like when you're in person, which it is. I mean, it's ideal.
Sure.
But I've been doing a lot online. So they can book time with me online for sure. You can go to the website. There's a lot of info on the website, jillkirshcolor.com. And, but I've been doing a lot of online sessions, and I am amazed by how well it works doing it online. I had to be convinced. People were wanting it, and I was like, I just need to know that it's really going to be and blah and this, and it's been fantastic. It's been way more than I ever, even like with the scarves, right? Because the scarves that I have are all one of a kind, which were also in Style magazine, but they're all one of a kind, right? Based on your hair color. When I was at someone's home, we're in the closet, I have all my scarves, we tie it in with things, it's like a done deal, and they're so excited. Online, I was like, I don't know, and this woman said, oh, I love scarves, can I see your scarves? I took my phone and I laid the scarves out on a table and just did a real quick video. The woman was blown away. And all the ones that I showed her, obviously were her colors, and then she picked and all that. So yes, online, I have, I don't know, I drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, I've had to do this. I've had to do it. I mean, yes, I absolutely fly anywhere, basically. I mean, I've, mainly in the States, but I would love to go to Europe. I was in Europe, but not working, just playing in Europe. But yeah, people fly me to wherever they are, but also the online thing has become amazing, actually. I had to know before I haven't even promoted it, really. I mean, I haven't. I just had to be so like, I could really service a client online, and I can. So yeah, so in person, online, yeah.
So interesting. My mom and dad loved fashion. They loved style. They loved all that stuff. Did your parents kind of like set you kind of up for this, to love all this thing starting at a young age? Or did you just kind of break into this in the last decade? How did this, it's still so interesting.
What I was saying is that my parents were both in the garment center, I mean,
right, in New York. But I mean, like, you kept carrying that out. What did you do kind of before this?
God. Before this, you mean as far as work?
Yeah, how did this like float?
A long time. So I always had something weirdly having to do with fashion.
Gotcha.
Whether it was supplementing, I mean, the passion was being an actor, and I'd done a lot of theater in New York. I've done some theater and some TV stuff in LA. And I still love it. I end up, though, now going on camera more with the business. I mean, all the talk shows and all that, because what I do is TV. It's like demo, bad, good. Oh my God. Tons of takeaway tips, I love being like doing something like this. Like, I love being interviewed. So it's kind of like, and I had never thought about it until like people would ask me questions about it. It's taking both things that I love. I love working clients. I love the color. I love the acting. I love the interaction with audiences. I love sharing information, and it just all kind of came together. And this aspect of it, as far as online, is what is the newest part of this puzzle. And I'm really digging it. And I'm really like, it's the funniest thing. It's like doing this online with someone when you're so used to like being with them in person, to see them on camera have the aha moment. If I'm like holding this up to them and you see them like, wow, like they can see it. It's like amazing. It's great.
I believe it. That's
very
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I know you told me earlier about like what you're, like you're a fan, but it's there's always so much more. We all got like, I grew up loving film.
Yeah.
That didn't make me all of a sudden make me into an independent filmmaker, right? There was a lot more in between there to kind of, where you start and where you end up, I think is amazing. That's why I like doing these podcasts. It's kind of the origin story, but it's like what happens in the middle. I kind of know what you do now. I knew a little bit about your past, but like, it's just amazing how certain people go into certain things that no one else is really doing, which kind of amazes me, which takes a lot of confidence in itself. Is it going to fail? Is it going to succeed? What is success? What is your interpretation of succeeding or failing as well? but you do something so unique. That's why I said I had to have you on.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think, you have to, in my opinion, I mean, I think I was going to say you have to love what you do. I don't know if everyone can love what they do. I think I'm very fortunate that I do love what I do. I love seeing how this affects others. That's like such a joy. I mean, I love it. And then this one turns this one onto it. And I saw this one. And I had someone, I was sitting in the parking lot where we actually met at Whole Foods in that parking lot. My cell phone rings. And I was I had just done an online thing with someone. And I told her, I said, you're going to see, because the colors were very different for her. And I said, you're going to start getting compliments. I know it. I know it's going to make such a big difference. Anyway, so my phone rings and it's this woman. And she says to me that, she had all my makeup and the scarf, and she said her husband never says anything, right? Said something like whatever he said, like complimentary. And then like friends, this was over one weekend, like how this started happening. I got goosebumps. So anyway, so I'm sitting in my car. She's telling me this. And then she starts crying. You could hear it, right? Like how she goes to me, I know you told me that this would happen, but I didn't, It was like she was having such a win on it that I'm just so sappy. I just, I love what I do.
Yeah. After meeting with you and hanging out, it kind of hit me too. I think you're the type of person where you meet certain people and then you never look at anything the same way again. Like we can meet tons of people that work out, right? You could meet tons of, I don't care if it's a writer, director, author, producer, whatever, you have those discussions. But when I was talking to you and then like color hits you, like you're so, how much you love color and you're a color guru or whatever. Then I left her and I go, God, I started to think about like every aspect of my life kind of does revolve around color. What I'm wearing that day, the way I feel, or the way I look at certain things. It could be a website or anything. It's not just, I know you help women or men, with their colors and the way they look for photography and all that. And I made films. I get all that. But after meeting you, I'm like, wow, I never realized how big colors are in our goddamn life. How every aspect of everything I do revolves around. I don't care if it's a shirt I put on or when I'm shopping or if I go to a certain restaurant, I'm actually looking at it going, wow, I always love design and style and fashion, but
yeah, it's the aesthetic. I mean, and you, artist, you are an absolute artist. I mean, the things you've done, we could have a few hour interview with all the things you've done. You know what I mean? So you're an artist. I mean, bottom line, in so many different areas. And you're also incredibly gracious and willing to help. I mean, we met through someone and I was so new down here, it was like a whole other game from LA and New York, and you were just amazing. I mean, it was just very outstanding. Like it stood out to me, like the energy and the way you are. And plus you've done so many things, the book and the design and so you're an artist. You are an artist. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and every time I'm in Whole Foods, I see that area where you can sit and our area. And I think of you, except now all that is like, done with now. So,
yeah.
But anyway, and it was like, well, where should we meet? Right. And I knew nothing down here. I don't know where to go. Whole Foods has a place. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that area. But then it was a perfect thing. I think you were shopping or something. I said, well, let's hit two birds at one stone or something. It's like, let's just go there.
Right.
Yeah, they got some of those places. Ours closed down, but used to even be able to go and pick certain foods and they would cook it for you, which I loved. And you'd sit there and you could watch a game. You can have drinks, at least the one by my house. Wow. And I was in the one by you. Sometimes when I travel, I go in Whole Foods just because you get sick of eating out everywhere. So you try to, mix it up a little bit. And I like some of their foods, especially their smoothies and coffees.
Yes.
But that was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, Jill, you kick it in the ass for me here. I hope I didn't get too nuts with these weird questions. I love
all your questions. I love it. I love seeing your face. I love talking to you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to do lunch, dinner. You
I'd love
come
to
to,
have me. Sorry?
I said, you come to Orlando, let me know. When I come down there, we got to do lunch or dinner because Rhea,
Definitely,
you
for
know, she does
sure.
her store down there. And sometimes I go
Yes.
with her. I think I've reached out, but you were busy. And then a lot of times our schedule, it's like an in and out thing a lot of
You
times.
travel a lot. I mean, what are you doing like in this day and age? I mean, with everything, are you still traveling or not so much? Or
No, in the last 2 months, you mean? Like
yeah,
relatively? Yeah, no, I've been basically working on my podcast on my YouTube channel.
great.
So I've been busy working on that. I'm thinking of maybe starting a mastermind program. I don't know, based on self-confidence. But for the most part, I finally was able to do a lot of podcasts with people that I've always wanted to do, like yourself, where before it was really on me because I traveled so much. It was either too early in the morning when I wasn't feeling it, or it was too late at
Right,
night and everyone's tired because I was either
right.
flying, driving, or
I
working.
remember. Yeah, yeah.
So this has actually been a cool kind of downtime. I know a lot of people got hammered. We all got hammered to a certain degree without, a lot of people
Yes.
got furloughed, let go, all these different types of things. But I've been traveling for 10 years. So I finally got caught up on a lot of things I wanted to get caught up on, I guess you could say.
Yeah, awesome. That's
So
great. Well, I'm so glad we finally did this. This is awesome.
yeah, you were one of the first I hit up, and there was only a couple of you that said, "Wait, Rich, let's wait." And I'm like, "Yeah, perfect," because I got like you're scheduling.
Yeah, no, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do
I
it.
want to do it whenever the other person's ready. But like the first week, I've been doing them on Zoom, where before I just did audio. So I basically would have to be with the
Oh,
person, or it
okay.
was more one-on-one. Where in this
Yeah.
case, Zoom kind of came into play. I think it's gotten a lot better than it used to. Skype was kind of hard. Most people didn't know how to Skype, didn't want to get an account. Yeah, and I just do conversations. I don't want a podcast where it's just a Q&A type thing. Like I said, I want an origin story. I just want it to be like me and you met for coffee,
I
right?
love it.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like, yeah. No,
yeah, I want
you're
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I,
I'm all over the place. I get it. Sometimes I even forget. I'm like, but I don't like to write down questions. I literally, you want to know what I wrote down for you? This is the
what?
God's honest truth. This is what I wrote. And
Okay.
I basically had it memorized. I put, Jill Kirsh is a color expert and Hollywood guru of hue. That's what I wrote down. I already knew internally kind of what I've felt after even I met you or before. And
Yeah.
when I think of hue, which is funny, there was a restaurant bar downtown Orlando, which is a place called The Hue. We used to go and have drinks. And then
I love it.
so anyways, when I heard this, I said, you know what? I just want to have a conversation with people. I can't stand the phoniness or the whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah.
I just want to have a conversation with somebody that I always found very interesting, unique, and it would be just like I said, like when me and you met at Whole Foods, very similar.
I love it.
So
What a plug for Whole Foods, boy.
yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
wonderful. It was wonderful. Thank
All
you so
right.
much for having me. Yay, this is perfect.
Awesome. Well, I'll be posting it probably in the next month or so. I got a bunch of unique ones coming up. I've only been posting 2 or 3 a week. I was hammering them out, but it takes so much time by the time I do them and edit them and upload them and do all this shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, my dear. Well, I promise I'll hit you up. All right.
Let me know if you need anything else. If you have whatever, you know where to find me.
For sure.
Thank you again. I had a blast.
Me too.
I knew I would, though. I knew it.
I did too.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, take care.